What's up guys, Lon here from Android Authority, and if you recently just picked up an LG G5 and you want to learn a little bit more about it, then this video is for you. This is tips and tricks for the LG G5. So our first tip is a pretty simple one, and that is the volume key shortcuts. This feature is designed to work when the phone is locked and should already be enabled by default, but if it is not, just jump into settings and scroll down until you see shortcut key. The shortcuts aren't user definable, which is unfortunate, but you do have a couple of options. From here you'll see that if you double press volume up, this will open up LG's Capture Plus application, which lets you doodle random things or take a quick note. Pressing volume down twice, on the other hand, will launch you directly into the camera, and you can also set it to take photos instantly if you want. Tip number 2 is how to theme the LG interface. So if you're not a fan of the way the stock icons look, you can change that by downloading additional themes from LG's Smart World application. You can do this by either long pressing on a home screen and jumping into the home screen settings, or opening up the Smart World application directly and selecting home theme from the customization dropdown. I was actually pretty surprised by how many themes there were, but something to keep in mind is it's nowhere near as robust as something like Samsung's theme store. The themes are also pretty basic. It'll change your app icons and wallpaper, but stuff like the system UI and the apps themselves remain the same, but it's still a great option to have if you want to switch things up a bit. Next up is how to enable Smart Bulletin and Q-Slide apps. The latest version of LG's UI is a lot cleaner and less in your face, and many of their most well-known features are either off by default or a little bit more hidden than usual, but they are there if you really want to bring them back. To enable Smart Bulletin, simply go into Settings, select Home Screen, and scroll to the bottom where you'll find the Smart Bulletin toggle. From here you can also select which apps appear in the Smart Bulletin home screen, and once you're done with all of that, just head back home and you should find Smart Bulletin as your leftmost home screen. To bring back Q-Slide apps, you'll actually find this one under the display settings, oddly enough. Just tap on the home touch buttons and then select button combination. From here, simply add the Q-Slide shortcut into your navigation bar and you'll instantly have access to all compatible Q-Slide apps anytime you want. Coming in at number 4 is the Smart Settings. So Smart Settings is nothing groundbreaking, but it's still a pretty convenient feature. This allows you to set a specific sound profile, Bluetooth, or Wi-Fi setting to automatically adjust based on whether you're at home or away from home, and you can also set which apps automatically open up when you plug in headphones or connect a Bluetooth device. So for example, if I wanted to set which app opens up when I plug in headphones, I just select it, enable it, and then you can pick whichever app you want. But obviously a music app like Spotify or Google Play Music makes the most sense here. Tip number 5 is how to hide apps and change the screen grid size. With LG's new launcher not having an app drawer, being able to hide apps to reduce clutter and increase the grid size to fit more apps per screen is more important than ever. To do so, just long press on the home screen, go to home screen settings, and from here you'll have the option to switch between 4x4, 4x5, and a 5x5 grid size. To hide apps, just select hide apps and pick whichever apps you do not want to be seen on your home screens, like the pre-installed bloatware for example, and once you're done, just hit apply and that's all there is to it. Those apps are out of sight and out of mind. Our next tip is how to customize the always on display. You'll find the settings for this one under the display section of the settings menu. There's actually not a whole lot you can do with the always on display, but you can choose to show either the time or a signature or random message. By default, it should automatically be set to your name already, but you can change it to whatever you want and also pick from a short list of different fonts. Once you've made all of the appropriate changes, just hit save and now your signature or message should be displayed when the phone is asleep. Most Android phones no longer have a contextual menu button because most menu buttons are now built into the applications themselves, but if you miss that old menu button, LG's come up with a pretty elegant solution for that. And it's really simple. All you have to do is long press on the recent apps key and a menu will pop up, and this works whether you're in an application or on the home screens or anywhere else that has a menu. Now, if you're not a fan of the new app drawerless experience and you prefer to stick to LG software, LG has provided a solution for those who want to bring back the app drawer. All you have to do is go into the Smart World application, look up LG Home 4.0 and download it. Once you have it installed, set it as your default launcher and voila, you now have an app drawer again. If you don't want LG's launcher, you can obviously always download any third-party one of your choice like the Google Now launcher, Nova, or Apex. I know that most tips and tricks typically have to do with software, but this final tip actually has to do with the G5's hardware, and I'm going to show you how to properly swap a module because it's not exactly as straightforward as you may think. So before you swap a module, the first step is to power the phone down. You technically don't have to do this, but it's better that you do. Next step is to press the release button so that the bottom chin pops out. Once it's free, just slide it out and detach the battery. Now, in order to properly detach the battery, you'll want to grab the chin with one hand and the battery in the other and act like you're bending or trying to snap it in half. Do not yank the battery out. If you do it that way, you're making it much harder on yourself and you're also running the risk of breaking it. Now all you have to do is grab your module of choice and essentially reverse the process. Attach the battery to the module and insert it back into the phone and power it on, and you are good to go. But that's gonna wrap it up for this tips and tricks video for the LG G5. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and also subscribe to the channel, which is also down below if you haven't already. And feel free to follow us on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Google+, all that good stuff. And feel free to follow me on Twitter as well at LonWinFilms. And check out the website for more in-depth coverage, AndroidAuthority.com, because we are your source for all things Android.